All right. Good evening, class. I'm Stephanie. This is Dane. In parts 1 and 2, we have questions 3 and 4. So question 3 in part 1, what were Darwin's first impressions of the Galapagos finches? And he didn't think much of them. He thought they were different variations of other species of birds. Like he thought they were blackbirds and stuff like that. He didn't think of them as different variations of finches.
And for question 4, it said, why did Darwin raise pigeons and then spend many pages discussing them and the origin of species? And he bred these pigeons to get a first-hand account of natural selection. And because he's able to get this first-hand account, it was able, and talk about it so much, he was able to have a secondary piece of evidence towards natural selection. And so if someone scrutinized his study on the finches, he could go back to the pigeons and kind of have secondary evidence to support his hypothesis.
And then part 2, question 3, says explain the basics of Endler's guppy experiments and describe the details of the 2 selection pressures acting on the guppies. So Endler made 10 ponds in his greenhouse, replicating the depth and width of the natural habitat of the wild guppies. He then stocked these ponds with the wild guppies from different predation zones, 1 predator to 7 predators out in the wild. And he let them breed and then introduced predators back in there. And so in the wild, you have a balance between mating and survival. The colors of the fish have to stay muted in order to avoid detection for predators. But when mating season comes around, the females go for the flashier fish. And so he found when these guppies didn't have predators and they were just allowed to breed as they pleased, they became flashier and more gaudy.
Yeah. And so, and we also have question 4, part 2, question 4. And it says, what major changes occurred in finch mating behavior during the rainy season of 1983? So the females began to produce, or I guess mate a lot more and have larger clutches of birds because of the rains. And then also something that was really interesting was young finches, even some under 3 months old, began to produce clutches as well. So hatchlings started to produce more birds. So you just had this overabundance of finches on the island due to those rainy seasons.